DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is part 2 of our 2-part mini-series, The Real Cost of the Things That You Want. Before we get started, I'll remind you of 2 things. My text message number down below in the description. Second thing, workonyourgameuniversity.com. You want to have me as your direct coach. You want me to work with you directly. You want me to help you get your mind in the right place so we can put together a strategy and a system so that you can be held completely accountable and execute the way that you know you want and need to be executing, so you can reach your goals sooner rather than later, now rather than sometime in the future. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. You can have me as your direct personal coach, and we can get started right now. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That out the way, let's pick up where we left off, which is on point number 4 of our series here. Gave you the first 3 points yesterday, so if you missed that, make sure you go check that episode, the one right before this one. Point number 4, scale. If you would like to achieve scale in your life, you must be willing to give up some control. Scale costs control. What does scale mean? So this one is in reference to the business world, but it can apply outside of business. It can apply in everyday life as well. Scale simply means getting more return on investment from less effort over time. So if you want to see an example of a company who has scaled, look at a company like Amazon. They have achieved scale to where they can continually expand their operations, but they don't have to go dollar for dollar. For every dollar they want to increase, they don't have to spend a dollar directly to get it. They can spend $1 and get $100 of ROI for expansion. That's what scale means in a very, very broad general sense. So a company like Amazon has achieved scale. Walmart has scale. Nike, Google, Walgreens, these companies all have scale to where they can achieve a whole lot more result without an equal amount of input. They don't have to put in to get out. They don't have to put in $10 to get $10 back. They can put in $1 and get back 100. That's scale. When you can put in $1 and get back 100, what would you do? Well, of course, you will put in as many $1 as you can, because you know each $1 is going to turn into $100. That's what we call scaling. So if you want scale in your life, one of the things you have to give up is a certain amount of control. This is the trade-off. So there are hundreds and thousands, let's say in these businesses that I just described, there are hundreds and thousands of transactions taking place in, let's say, on Amazon right now, right? To the point that the person who started the company, Jeff Bezos, or whoever the main person is who's in charge today, they cannot oversee and know about and have their hands in every single engagement happening in the business. I could go buy 50 things on Amazon right now and check out my cart on Amazon. Jeff Bezos would never know that I bought them. He would not know that I exist. He wouldn't know how much money I spent. He wouldn't know what products there are. He doesn't know my name. He doesn't know where the products are being shipped. He would have no hand in packaging the products, putting them into the envelopes, putting them on the truck, shipping them to me, or dropping them off at my front door. He wouldn't know if I complained about a product and returned it. He would never know about any of this happening, yet it's his company that's doing all of it. That's scale. Well, that's an example of scale. And actually, let me not even say that. That's one of the things that happens when you have scale, because you have so much going on. You can't possibly micromanage every single aspect of the situation anymore because you have too many things happening at once. You can no longer be in control of everything, which is the point here. If you want to scale, you have to be willing to give up some control. If the order goes completely terrible with Amazon and me, and I go complain to Amazon, Jeff Bezos may never even know that I complained. He has to be okay with the fact that there are probably right now in Amazon's servers, there may be 500 people on Amazon's platform right now talking to one of their customer service agents or to a customer service bot complaining about an order right now. 500 different people complaining on Amazon at this exact moment that I'm talking to you. Jeff Bezos has to be completely okay with the fact that he cannot personally tend to any of those 500 engagements. That's scale. Now think about your business and think about the last time somebody complained about something in your business. How much did you have to be involved to handle the complaint? Now, how okay could you ever become with not being the one who handles every single infraction, every single challenge, every single complaint, every single transaction happening in your business? All right, you got to give some of that up if you want to scale, because the bigger you get, the less any one person can handle everything. This is just how life works. The bigger any entity gets, you're not going to know everything and everybody. I've read many stories about businesses that they start off as a small business, it might be 2 or 3 people working together. Then they start hiring people and they hire more people and they hire more people. And usually up to about 50 to 100 people, somewhere in that range, the person who started the company or the people who started the company, they are able to sit down with and interview every single person and meet and shake hands with every person who's coming into the company. But eventually it gets to a point. I think it was when I was reading about Google. This is one of the stories. I think Google was it, that the guys who started Google, Larry and Sergey, that eventually they got to a point that the company was expanding so much that one of them, the guys who started the company, would be walking around Google's main office center, and they walk past somebody who is working there and getting paid a full-time salary, but they don't even know who this person is and has never met them before, but they work for the company. And they talk about how they had to get used to that because they're used to having control. Entrepreneurs, one of the reasons entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs is because they want to be in control. But when you start achieving scale, you can't control everything anymore. And you have to be okay with giving up control. Now, while I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs who say they would love to be in a position where they have so much going on and making so much money and so many transactions, et cetera, when it comes time for them to actually let go of control, it's not as easy as it sounds. Sounds good when we're talking about it, not so easy to execute on. Now, again, going back to Amazon, I spend thousands of dollars a year on Amazon. You probably do as well. And I doubt Jeff even knows that I exist. He doesn't. If somebody mentioned my name, he would say, who? He and I have never had a conversation, but he has made money off of my consumerism. Guaranteed. You could put your name into that same sentence and it'll probably be true as well. He probably doesn't know you exist either. The scale that Amazon now enjoys comes at the cost of the people in charge, like Jeff Bezos, giving up enough control that the company can continue to grow without them needing to have their hands and eyes on every single thing that takes place. That's what is necessary for scale. That's not all of scale, but that's what's necessary for scale. So what does this mean for you? Let's say you're the person who loves to do all the cleaning in your house. You love to do all the cleaning. Actually, I can use my own wife as an example here. My wife likes to do all the cleaning at home. She's very meticulous about the cleaning. She likes things to be done a certain way. I very much appreciate this because it keeps the house extremely clean every day. However, cleaning goes from being a pleasure to a burden when you have other things to deal with, like a child or children running around in the house. So cleaning is not as easy to do when you got to deal with other things at the same time. So I finally got around to convincing her. It took me a long time to convince her to finally give up some control. Let's hire somebody else to do the cleaning at home and let them come do it. You supervise them. And she has told me, and I let her know ahead of time, that I told her this a long time ago. I said, if we hire somebody to come clean, here's the thing you got to be okay with. Nobody's going to be as good as you. Nobody's going to do it the way that you do it. The best that somebody's going to come is about 80% as good as you. And I said to her, if we're going to do this, you got to be okay with 80% of you being your replacement. Your replacement is going to be 80% as good as you. Are you all right with that? Because if you need 100%, then you keep doing it yourself. But if you're okay with someone being 80% as good as you, then we can move forward. And she finally came to accepting that, and then we were able to bring somebody in. Because of this acceptance, we can now, quote unquote, scale her presence. You get what I'm saying? So now she can do other things, and now the house gets to stay clean. So the house cleaning didn't go away. We just had somebody else doing it. We can scale that, but you have to give up some control, meaning it can't be done exactly your way, and it's not going to be 100% ever because nobody's you. You got to be willing to give that up. Now, again, apply this to your own life. You can apply this in many areas, specifically in areas in which you have insisted on doing everything yourself. And many of you fall into this category. If you happen to be in sales, for example, somebody you hire can do sales. Somebody you hire to do sales may only close 80% as many sales as you close. But if you can hire 10 of those people, you can make a lot more money with 10 people doing 80% of you rather than you doing 100% of yourself. It's just simple math. So if you can do 10 sales calls yourself and you close all 10, that means you got 10 sales, right? 10 sales out of 10 sales calls, and let's say each sale was $100 a piece, you made $1,000. All right, that's your cap is $1,000 because it's just you and you close every sale. 10 sales, $1,000. But let's say you hire 10 salespeople and each of them is 80% as good as you. So now each one of those 10 salespeople, they get 10 sales calls and each one of them closes 8 out of 10. So each one of them made $800. $800 times 10 people equals 8,000. So when you give up the control of doing everything yourself, instead of making $1,000 in a day, you can make $8,000 in a day. You just got to be okay with the 2 missed sales from each one of your salespeople. Are you okay with them being 80% as good as you and not 100%? If the answer is yes, then you have the potential to scale. This is much more an emotional thing than it is a mental thing. Excuse me, much more an emotional thing than it is a tangible thing. Not a physical thing, is a mental and emotional thing. As you bring on more salespeople, again, now you can do more marketing because you can put more sales calls on the calendar. See, you can't do more than 10 sales calls in a day because it's just you. You can't do 100 sales calls. You don't have enough time. But if you have 10 salespeople, you can do 100 sales calls because each one of them can do 10. You see, so now you allow yourself to expand in every area because you are no longer controlling everything. So if you have 10 people ready to take calls as opposed to just one, now you can expand your operations in many different ways. This is what it means. This is an example of one of the byproducts of scaling. You just have to understand that some control must be given up in the process. Sometimes a lot of control. The more you want to scale, the more control you got to lose. Moving on to point number 5. Today's topic, once again, is the real cost to the things that you want. Number 5, ambition costs relaxation. If you're an ambitious person and you want to achieve big things that are often difficult to be achieved, you can't relax. And I know a lot of ambitious people. Ambitious people don't want to relax. So often they don't even have to think about this. But any of you who are not sure if you're ambitious or not, you're kind of like borderline ambitious, understand that the cost of ambition is relaxation. If you find yourself relaxing a lot or wanting to relax a lot or needing to relax a lot, then you probably don't have that much ambition. That doesn't make you a bad person. But this is just what it is. Ambitious people don't want to relax. Ambitious people don't like going on vacation. And they know that if they go on vacation, all they're going to end up doing is working while they're on vacation anyway. Not because work has some type of negative hold on them, but because they are more interested in fulfilling their ambition than they are in relaxing and chilling. This is what it is. It doesn't make them bad. It doesn't make people who relax bad. It's just what it is. Different people are wired in different ways. If you want to be ambitious or you are ambitious, understand that the trade-off of your ambition is that you give up your relaxation. A very strong desire to achieve out of the ordinary outcomes is the definition of ambition. And if you are ambitious, relaxing is not in your vocabulary. I know ambitious people. And again, myself being one. We don't enjoy relaxation, vacations, hanging out, chilling out, sitting around doing nothing. We're not that type of person. I'm not the type of person to sit and do nothing. This is the reason why I don't like going to movies. I don't go on vacations. I don't do those things because they're not fun for me. Because if I were to do one of those things, I'm going to end up doing my work in that space anyway. So what's the point? Ambitious people are generally incapable of such behavior. They're generally incapable of just chilling out and going on vacations and relaxing and doing nothing. It's not their thing. And their mind is working even when they are not able to actually tangibly do a thing. And again, I know this one well. If you like to step up your ambition or you like to realize more of your ambition, you got to be willing to give up all your relaxation activities, whatever they may be. Things such as mindless internet scrolling, watching Netflix, sleeping in, going on vacation, watching movies, anything else that's designed to allow you to turn off your brain and turn off the go mode in your mind. You got to turn all those off. In my experience, ambition is something that a person either has or they doesn't have, or they don't have. To go from having none to having a ton of it in one lifetime is not likely. That's not usually a thing. But I may be wrong. So I'll just leave this one in here that some of you could actually develop ambition if you didn't have it before. Maybe if you get in the right vehicle, that might be the key. Moving on to point number 6. Today's topic, once again, is the true cost of the things that you want. Number 6, responsibility costs excuses. In other words, if you want to be more responsible, you are no longer able to give excuses. You are no longer eligible to give or make or even think of excuses. That's the challenge of responsibility. Anything you want ownership and power over, you must take responsibility for and allow yourself to be held fully accountable for it. When you have ownership and power over a thing, you are not allowed to make excuses because there is no one and no thing for you to point the finger at when you are responsible for something. You have full ownership and responsibility. There's no one to point the finger at because you're the one on top. You're the one in charge. So you got to give up all excuses because excuses means pointing the finger at something or someone else. You're not allowed to do that when you're the boss. Who you pointing the finger at? You're the boss. The finger can only be pointed in the mirror at you, at yourself. Excuses simply mean, again, pointing the finger at something or someone outside of you when things aren't going the way you want them to go. But when you're in charge, you don't have that option because there is no one to point at. You can only point at you, as I just explained, the person who's in the mirror. If you want more power and you want more ownership in your life, this equation is an easy one to understand. Just take on more responsibility. Decide that you will be 100% responsible for everything that occurs, especially the stuff that goes wrong and doesn't go the way you want it to go. At that point, you become the boss and you get everything that comes with it. what comes with being a boss. You get the recognition when you win, you get the blame when you lose, you get to solve all the problems when they come up, and you get all the accolades when the problems do get solved. All right, all the trade-offs of responsibility come with the good trade-offs of ownership when there's success. The trade-off of responsibility when it's not working come with the good stuff that come with when it is working. So if you want to be that person, these are the things that you got to take with it. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, there are no perfect scenarios in life. There are only trade-offs. Everything in life has a trade-off. There is nothing that is perfect. So if you're looking for a perfect situation in life, you'll never find it. That's episode number 2174. There are no perfect scenarios, only trade-offs. That said, let's recap today's class, which is part 2 of our mini series, the real cost of the things that you want. Number 1, scale, costs, control. If you want to have more scale in your life, you have to be willing to give up the control that you have had up to this point. The more control you're willing to give up, the more potential you have for scaling. Point number 5, ambition costs relaxation. If you're an ambitious person, you got to be willing to give up all the relaxation habits that you have had up to this point. And ambitious people don't really want to relax. So if you're truly ambitious, I don't even need to tell you this, but any of you who maybe wants to create some ambition in your life, stop allowing yourself to relax so much. And number 6, responsibility costs excuses. If you want to be the person who's responsible, you want to be the owner, you want to be the person on top, you can no longer make excuses. And if you point your finger at anybody, you're pointing your finger at the person you see in the mirror. That's the only person you are eligible to point a finger at. WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Work with me directly. Have me as your direct coach. Get your mind in the right place. Let's get a game plan, a strategy. Let's get a system so we can do the same things the same way every time and make sure you're held accountable to implement and do what needs to be done, all with me working directly with you the entire time. Go to WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all